There's a quote often attributed to Desmond Tutu. There's only one way to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. We're here in the first full week of January 2021, and you may or may not be in full swing year-long planning, your annual business plan, or even your life planning. Well, that can often seem overwhelming. I have tried that in the past, and those year-long planners, those big thick guys, I haven't lasted with any of those. It's too much. It's the elephant to condense an entire year into kind of one planning session. I have found that 90-day sprints or quarterly planning, or the 12-week year as it's sometimes called, is a much more effective way to work through your year, to achieve goals, so that at the end of the year, come December 31st of 2021, you'll be able to look back and really marvel at the accomplishments that you've made. Again, either in life or in business. This week, we're talking about your 90-day roadmap. Stay tuned. Giving architects and landscape architects the tools and strategies to be seen, heard, and valued in the marketplace, and telling the stories of leaders building thriving design firms and attracting their ideal clients. This is From Architecture to Profitecture. I'm your host, Jay Krakowski. Let's get started. Fellow and future Profitex, hello, how are you? Welcome to this week's show, your 90-day roadmap. Now, whether you chose to tackle your 2021 planning sometime last month in December, or you tackle it first thing in the new year, as I like to do, I find that things are a little quieter. The hubbub of the holidays, although they were a little bit different last year, the hubbub of the holidays has settled down, and I'm able to refocus and get some quiet hours available in between client work to plan out my year. And I've adopted the method of planning in quarters, planning 90-day goals, not planning, certainly looking at bigger picture annual goals or multi-year goals, but to really kind of put your nose to the grindstone, foot to pavement, something like that. 90 days seems to click with me. It's much more immediate, and I can really handle that, whether that's a 12 or 16 week plan. You have some overlap in there, extending it out to 16 weeks. But I wanted to go through this week on how I'm planning my first quarter, not necessarily nitty gritty with clients and revenue for you there, but kind of the bigger picture. And maybe there's some things that you can adopt in your planning. You can tweak the planning if you've already done it, or if you have yet to start your planning for the year. Hopefully there's some items here that are helpful and that you can adopt. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'll put a link in the cards up here. Last week's show was all about the bigger changes that you want to adopt for 2021. And those probably led into big picture goals that you want to achieve this year. So go ahead and take a look at that video. And if you've got those bigger picture goals, now we can start to break those down. Looking at each of the goals that you've identified, what are the key action steps? And I often use the S.M.A.R.T method for kind of outlining the goals that I want to achieve. What are the key steps that you need to hit to achieve that goal? Write those out. Yes, those can be with a pen to iPad, but I find that pen and paper is best, because you can always scratch things out. You can modify it. You can reorder the steps. Post-its work great for this exercise as well. What are the steps that you need to meet? And don't worry about timelines at this point. Don't worry about durations. Don't even worry about what goes in what order. Just get all the steps out on paper, so that you can really assess you can then assess the time and duration that you'll need to commit to each of the steps to achieve that goal. Then once you've outlined all those, I prioritize them. And again, Post-its are my favorite for this, because, or if you use some digital method, whether that's a Trello board, something in the Kanban. There's a few other programs online where you can visually represent Post-it notes or stickies, but I like the old-fashioned paper and glue, so I can map them out and put them in order. Again, don't worry about timelines or durations yet. Just get them in order, so that as you then start to put timelines to them. Things are happening in the right order. You want to map out your overall timeline. Are you going to take the full 90 days to achieve a goal? Can you do it in less? The old adage, the work expands to fill the time allotted, is all too prevalent in our industry. I'm absolutely guilty of working up till the last minute. So I'm sure many of you are. Do you really need 90 days to achieve the goal or each of the goals that you've outlined for the quarter, for the 90 days? So be realistic about that and see where you can trim a little bit. Can you trim a little fat and hit a goal in 45 or 60 days? And then you'll start to, especially if you have multiple goals, you can start to overlap them and understand what kind of help you might need. Will you need to bring someone else on? Will you need to outsource something? Will you need a new piece of software to get this done if those overlaps start to feel a little bit overwhelming? Then we'll get into taking each step of each goal and putting dates to it, putting durations and dates to it. Now, this certainly makes sense in terms of our project work when we've got the phases clearly outlined, and we can dedicate different amounts of time to each of the design phases. But if it's a bigger goal for your business, if it encompasses changes you want to make in your life, whether that's a morning routine, whether that's a health and fitness routine, eating habits, your bedtime routine, whatever that is, be able to break that goal down again into action steps, and then assign dates and durations to those. So now you've got everything laid out, and you can start to look at whatever duration you've set for each goal. Again, 30, 45, 60, 90 days, what have you. Take a minute to set those check-ins. Put them on your calendar. Put them in your phone. Put them in your Calendly or your Acuity, and block out an hour or half an hour, whatever it's going to take. Make sure that that's set in stone. Don't push it around for client work, for client meetings. Have that check-in be a rigid thing, so that at the end of 30 days you take an honest look at the progress that you've made, and then you can assess. But set those milestone check-ins right off the bat. Then you can get into planning out your weeks. I do not plan out all 12, 13 weeks at a time. I need to take it in smaller bites, the day to day. It's great to put these milestone goals at your 30, 60, 90 mark, but planning weeks, I like to pick one or two decent sized mini goals to hit every week. There's always going to be calls that come in. There's always going to be fires to put out. There's always going to be changes. There's always going to be consultants asking for more things. There's also going to be new clients potentially calling and shiny objects distracting you. So don't set 18 goals per week, because it's just not. You're going to get derailed. It's like trying to take a trip, and you are trying to look at your phone at the map, and you're holding a sandwich in the other hand, and you're reaching to give your kids in the back a cup of water. That would be my case. Two screaming kids in the back, and you're doing something else, and you're changing and your voice activated, changing the radio. If you try to do all these things, you're never going to get to where you need to go on a weekly basis, and that's very quickly going to derail these 90 days. So I like to plan just a few weeks. I usually plan a month. I can plan 4 weeks. I can handle that. Planning out 8 and 12, there's just too much. There's too many variables in there, in my opinion. If you can do that, that's great. But I just think it's a little too much. So then, at the end of each month, you've got this appointment set in your calendar. Set a date with yourself, and don't break it. Don't break it. Be committed. Be in integrity with that appointment. Even as consultants and clients come calling to honestly assess your progress. And then, if need be, do you need to adjust? Does that 60-day goal need to become a 70 or 75 because of ABC, XYZ that happened the previous month? That's okay, but you've got the end goal in sight there. And also take time, not just to figure out where things are slipping and need to be adjusted, or just goals need to be changed, period, but take time to celebrate the little wins. What did you accomplish in that month? Those are wins. And what's helpful is to get your brain in the habit of these little celebrations. Maybe it's maybe it's a latte, or maybe it's buying that thing that you've been looking at on Amazon for 3 weeks, or it's purchasing something new for the business. But don't wait till the 90-day. Don't wait till the end of the year to look back and celebrate. Celebrate small incremental wins throughout the year and throughout the quarter, and your brain will begin to look for those wins. You begin to acknowledge them and share them a whole lot more easily, I have found. And through those incremental wins, you're obviously going to move through the 90 days. Take a moment to reflect at the 90 days. Don't just say, okay, this is done, on to the next, and begin the planning exercise all over, which we'll do. But take time, again, to celebrate the small wins. Really write out, understand where things maybe slipped a bit. Are there processes in your business that you need to change? Are there things that you need to outsource for the next quarter? Do you need to hire for the next quarter? These are all, the 90-day is kind of the bigger reflection, if you will. So take a good part of a day. Take half a day. Again, schedule it in your calendar and celebrate the wins of the quarter. Figure out what things you're most proud of. Figure out what things have slipped and that you think you might need help on, and maybe put a star on the best thing that happened, or what was the easiest part of the process in achieving these goals, and make sure you incorporate that in the next quarter and the next quarter and the next quarter. So this is a real quick overview. Obviously, this is not a 12-minute process, nor is it really a day process. It takes me several days to go ahead and plan out a quarter. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you adopted a 90-day or 12-week year, a 90-day quarterly cycle? I've also heard them called 90-day design sprints. Now that's probably more in the consulting realm than in design and construction, but it might be useful, especially if there are other things besides the client work that you want to achieve in your business. Can you make it a game? Can you make it a 90-day sprint and turn that into a game and set rewards at different milestones, or not just timing milestones, but things that you achieve? Have fun with it. That's going to make it so much easier to keep your eye on the prize, to keep your eyes focused down the road, and move towards the goals that you want to achieve. My quote for this episode is, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." It's so easy to get overwhelmed in all of the noise on social media come year end about planning, and then you're seeing ads for physical planning books or software, or you've got colleagues or competitors, what have you, planning out their years. It's so easy to get overwhelmed in trying to plan out 365 days, and the worry sets in, and am I going to be able to achieve what I want to achieve? Am I going to hit my project workloads that I need to carry staff and revenue numbers and all that good stuff? Breaking it down into smaller steps makes it so much easier to identify those small wins that keep you going, that keep you motivated as a business owner, as a design professional. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and if you've been listening for any time, I'd love to have a review from you on Apple Podcasts. That helps the word get out about this little growing podcast here, because I'd love to get it into more people's ears and help, especially small and sole proprietor design firm owners, make their businesses better, make their annual and quarterly planning better. Anything else you'd like to ask me or talk about or see on the show, send me a direct message at Jake Krakowski, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. And until next week, make it a great week, because our success is inevitable. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you stay up to date with future episodes. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Jake Krakowski. And for show notes and much more, visit profitecturebydesign.com/podcast.